So the challenge of the Christian life, and at 66, I am deeply desirous to learn how to do this. I mean, Paul did say, I have learned the secret, as though it took some time. How many times do I come to the end of a day and I shake my head and say, it's been 8 hours since I thought about trusting a promise. I haven't even thought about them. But you know what else I've had in those 8 hours? Anxiety, murmuring. Where do they come from? Not trusting promises. This takes some of us a lifetime to learn. Oh, you young people, get this now. That's why I prayed at the beginning, oh God, build habits into our lives. Habits of trusting promises. Habits of hourly going to the Lord and saying, I need you, I need you, I need you. And then don't just go away saying, yeah, I need him and feeling as depressed as when you came, but rather take a promise. I believe it. And don't let it go until it has an effect on you. And then turn your resolve by that power into a deed. Closing illustrations. If you set your heart, for example, to give, thinking money here now, could be anything else. If you set your heart to give sacrificially and generously, I'm not even thinking necessarily the church, just whoever needs, whatever need you think, whether the church has needs and the poor have needs and ministries have needs and wherever. You just want to be, you just set your heart. You're going to make a resolve to give. Have a sacrificially generous life. The power of God to fulfill that resolve will come to you as you trust in the future grace of God, in the promise, my God will supply all your needs according to his riches and glory in Christ Jesus. And the promise, he who sows sparingly will reap sparingly, and he who sows bountifully will reap bountifully. And the promise, God is able to make all grace abound to you, so that having all sufficiency in all things at all times, you may abound in every good work. You believe those three promises, you're going to be a generous, sacrificial person. Power will come into your life, believing those promises. Number two, if you set your heart to return good for evil at work, in the family, wherever, to return good for evil, the power of God to fulfill that resolve will come to you as you trust in the future grace that comes through the promise. Blessed are you when men persecute you and revile you and say all kinds of evil against you falsely. Rejoice in that day and be glad. Great is your reward in heaven. You believe that? Then you will bless those who curse you. Yes, you will. It will be so freeing. There's a blessing upon my returning good for evil. There's a reward in heaven 10,000 times better than getting the last word in this conversation. But do we believe it? This is a faith issue. Number three, if you set your heart to renounce pornography, I'm going to renounce it. I'm not clicking. The power of God to fulfill this resolve and turn it into an act of obedience, glorifies God, will come to you through your trusting in the future grace, in the promise. Blessed are the pure in heart, they shall see God. You believe that? Is he satisfying to you in that promise? Is faith for you to assent to a promise intellectually, or is faith also for you to embrace the Christ of the promise as a satisfaction of your aching soul? Or the promise, it is better that you tear out one of your eyes than that your whole body be thrown into hell. Oh yes, it is better. It is wonderfully better. It is all satisfyingly better to tear your eye out. It is so much better. Believe that? It's a belief issue. Number 4, if you set your heart to speak for Christ when the opportunity comes, you can bear public witness somewhere at Thanksgiving or at work, going to bear public witness when opportunity comes, the power of God will come to you to fulfill that resolve when you believe in future grace that is flowing to you through the promise. Don't be anxious about how you are to speak or what you are to say, for what you are to say will be given to you in that very hour. Do you believe it? Number 5, if you set your heart to risk your life by ministering to the needy in some dangerous place around the world, set your heart to be that kind of servant of God. And go to a dangerous place to serve people without the gospel who have a need. If you set your heart to spend your life in a difficult place, a dangerous place, the power of God will flow to you to turn that resolve into an act of faith if you trust the future grace that is flowing to you through this promise. To live is Christ and to die is gain. Or, don't fear those who kill the body and cannot kill the soul. Are not 2 sparrows sold for a penny? Not one of them will fall to the ground apart from your Father. Even the hairs of your head are all numbered. You believe it. You care for me that closely. Every little hair, you count them. That's how intimately concerned you are for my welfare as I walk into this very dangerous place. Yes, that's how intimately I care for you. Sparrows and hares, that's how I attend to my children. And finally, number 6, if you set your heart to invite someone to Thanksgiving dinner who cannot pay you back, the power of God will flow into that resolve and turn it into an action if you trust in the future grace that is flowing to you through the promise of Luke 14. You will be blessed because they cannot repay you. You will be repaid at the resurrection of the just. Do you believe it? It's a wonderful thing to live by faith in future grace. It's radical, it's freeing, it's satisfying to live by faith in future grace. May God increase our daily faith in the inexhaustible, blood-bought, Christ-exalting future grace.